Hey, what's up, guys? Cameron here from Drums and Drams, and today I've got some quick bourbon news for all of you. We're going to start by talking about some new labels, and then I'm going to tell you about a distillery-only special release that I think you're going to want to hear about, especially if you're in the area. So let's start with this new whiskey from Knob Creek. You may have seen this circulating on social media over the last day or two. This is a new blend of bourbon and rye from Knob Creek, so yes, a Bourye. And the weird thing about this is that they are very transparent about what's in the blend, which is a huge thumbs up. But when you see what's actually in here, it feels like something that you could just do yourself at home. So 30% of this is 9-year Kentucky straight bourbon. When I think of 9-year Knob Creek, I think of the 100 proof Shelfer or the 120 proof. Both of those 9-year products, and none of those are earth shattering. So that's 30% of the blend. The other 70% is a 7-year rye, which is exactly what we find on the shelf at 100 proof. It's kind of weird because unless they're pulling, off-profile barrels or they're blending for a certain profile, I feel like we could just kind of do this at home. And I do need to mention the proof point, which is 113. And that's, again, kind of an achievable proof point if you blend the 120 proof 9-year bourbon and the 100 proof 7-year rye. I mean, you're going to get really close to that proof. So I will pick one of these up. I hope the price is not absurd when it does come out, but I think it's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. It's strange to put this in the market, I think, especially after we've seen a 10-year rye label filing from Knob Creek, and we're still waiting on that one. I can't wait. I mean, 10-year rye from Knob Creek, you start to think about things like Booker's Rye and just some of those really special ryes that we get from Jim Beam. Some of them are okay. Some of them are outstanding, again, like that Booker's Rye. So I can't wait for the Knob Creek 10 rye, but this one just feels a little bit strange. Let me know what you think about that one in the comments section. And finally, the last label we're going to talk about very quickly is the newest Hardin's Creek release. Now, I have no idea when exactly this is going to come out, and we've seen so much highly aged bourbon in this lineup, 15, 16, 17 year. 17 plus year even. 17 year, 7 months for the Jacobs Well Batch 2, which is just crazy at a $180 price point with pretty decent availability. I mean, you cannot fault Jim Beam for this series, but this one, we're going into corn whiskey territory. It's called Golden Origins. It's 11 years old, so it's not a crazy old corn whiskey like we got from the Heaven Hill Heritage Collection with the 20-year. This one's at 11 years old. Because it's a corn whiskey, this is aged in used barrels. The proof point is 106. I don't know what this is going to be like. I hope it's good. I hope the price drops from where it's been with the other releases, again, around 150 to 180 bucks. I hope this one doesn't maintain that price point. If it does, I'm probably still going to pick one up out of curiosity, but it would not feel good to have an 11-year corn whiskey at that kind of a price point. So with that said, let's move on now to the final thing that I wanted to talk about, which is a distillery-only special release here in Ohio, actually, up in Cleveland at River Roots Barrel Company. This is where Drums and Drams, the channel, we're going to do our first barrel pick ever for the Patreon members this coming weekend, March 1st, and just a little over a week after that on March 9th, which is a Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m., they are releasing one of these bottles, but it's a different barrel. It's 14-year total Kentucky bourbon, 7 years base maturation, 7 years in a port barrel. They're releasing another one of these barrels at the distillery. It's at 138 proof. These have all been blisteringly hot, but super delicious. Ryan from River Roots tells me that this one drinks a little bit more funky, a little bit more like an Armagnac, and said it's kind of a different profile than the 2 Sealbox releases that people have come to know from this brand. And these are starting to see upcharges on secondary, people looking for them because the word's gotten out. I can't wait, number one, to do our barrel pick there. We're not going to be picking one of these. We're going to pick some other stuff. But even so, the fact that this is coming out at the distillery, there's a week, of lead time for people to figure out their plans to get there. I think it's exciting, and you should go check this out. I'm not sure if there's a limit for these bottles. Limit 1, 2, unlimited, who knows? They're going to be $250 a piece. And I promise they didn't ask me to say this, but right now, I really believe in some of these River Roots products, especially these 14-year total, these port barrel monstrosities that they've been putting out. So check that out if you are in the area. That's going to do it for today's episode of Bourbon News. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you think about the Knob Creek Bourye, the Hardin's Creek corn whiskey. I guess there was really no bourbon in this Bourbon News. That's okay, though. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you next time here on Drums and Drams.